Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today I actually got the Demon out to give it a bath, and I figured, you know what, while it's not raining for a change, I should go ahead and get a video done for you, one I've been meaning to get for a while, and you guys have seen many times in the past on my channel. I have given you these 0 to 60 on the street videos, and I figured, you know what, this is the quickest production car in the world on a prep surface. I've already been 1.7 seconds from 0 to 60, which is just flat ridiculous, and I think the car will actually go even faster under different track conditions. But on the street, what will it really do? I mean, that's a more real world scenario, right? On the street. Well, let's go see. Let's go find out exactly how fast the Demon is. 0 to 60 on the street. It should be a lot of fun. If you guys are brand new to the channel, don't forget, hit subscribe right over here in the corner, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, and off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Just as a quick qualifier, the 2023 Demon 170 comes with these monster tires on the back. These are Mickey Thompson 17 315 50. So you get a really nice sidewall on the side of these things. So I'm not going to be running a normal like 20-inch street tire like you would find on, say, a Hellcat Red Eye or a regular Hellcat. This is exactly what comes from the factory, and I'm going to be running street pressures today on these. So I'm running about 30 PSI. So I'm not going to take the time to take a bunch of pressure out and do all sorts of special stuff to this car to get it to run faster on the street. I don't feel like that's an accurate representation of what this car would actually do from a stoplight or anything like that, and that is really the spirit of this entire video. Before we get too far into this video, I do want to tackle a couple of quick things, a couple of additional qualifiers, if you will, because inevitably, whenever I make one of these 0 to 60 on the street videos, I get all of these comments. Oh, RacerX, you know, I have a scat pack. I run 3.1 all day long, uphill, in the snow. I can do it faster in reverse. You literally just do not know how to drive. You don't know what you're doing. Despite the fact that I have all this drag race training and everything else I have, people still get on here and be like, look, no, I have an 07 RT that makes 300 horsepower. I do 1.9 on the street, and I can do it with my eyes closed. It never fails. I get all these really hilarious comments. Please keep in mind, guys, there are a lot of variables when it comes to getting these cars to go 0 to 60 on the street. It has to do with tire compound. It has to do with temperature outside, how much pressure you're running in the back. Did you do a big old burnout or something to make the street more sticky? I mean, I'm not doing anything extra with this car with these 0 to 60 tests. I'm trying to be as realistic with this as possible. And truth be told, the more power a car makes, the harder it is to get it to hook up on the street. And if you can't hook it up, it runs a terrible time. And we saw that with the Hellcat when I compared it to the Scat Pack. The Scat Pack ran just as fast on certain tires. Matter of fact, on other tires, it was actually faster than the Hellcat that made more than double the power. 1,000+ horsepower Hellcat, I was still struggling to run like a 4.0 on the street. Now, granted, it was a crappy street, a little bit dusty in Fort Worth, Texas. And I mean, the best I could do was like a 4.0 on the street. It's just really hard to get that much power to hook. Whereas in the Scat Pack, you could basically just nail it with tires like this on the back, and it's just going to dead stick. It doesn't really take that much skill to do it. So when it comes to like modulating the throttle, a lot of different factors play into one of these tests. Here we go. Street mode. ET Street Rs. That was a 4.0. Car felt like it almost dead hooked. .3 with the tires warm. So the car has a full interior. I'm just headed right down the street here. It is a Sunday, so this place is closed. It's in effect a big parking lot. That's basically where I'm headed. I just wanted to be able to replicate a street as close as possible without actually going and impeding traffic and doing a bunch of craziness on the street. So we're going to go over to this massive parking lot. Like I said, they're waiting on me over there. I had permission to be there, and that way it's a nice safe environment to test this thing out 0 to 60. I have now reached my little spot. It's super windy outside, but it's a nice little runway here. It's fairly protected. It's about 55 degrees out, so it's not awful in terms of temperature. But getting these tires to hook, really, I mean, you want a little bit more heat in the pavement. The surface here is not awful, but you can also see that's got a little bit of dust on it, maybe just a slight amount of debris. Nothing I think is going to really hurt the tires at all, but just getting these tires to stick with this much power is going to be an absolute chore. I can tell you that already. And this car hits way harder than my 1,000 horsepower Hellcat did. I just know that from racing it. And so I'm not going to be using drag race mode on this thing. I'm just going to leave it in auto. You either get auto or you get drag when it comes to the transmission. So I'm just going to keep it in regular auto. I'm not going to activate the torque reserve, which means that it'll build boost in the supercharger. It's just going to make the tires blow off. I can't use the trans brake. It doesn't matter how much I turn this trans brake down. I've already tried. It blows the tires off. You can turn it down as far as you want. The minute you let go of that paddle, it blows the tires off. So I'm probably just going to do some foot braking, maybe about 1,000 RPM to start out, and then we'll see how that goes. I may start out in second gear. We'll give that a try. 1,000 RPM, see what happens. Well, that was a 4.0. It's really hard to get this thing to plant the power, man. All right, attempt number 2, I'm going to give it just a little more RPM. I really had to modulate the throttle on the last one to even get a 4.0. Let's just see how it goes. All right, that was a 3.7. So that was a little better. It's just so much power, guys. I don't even feel like the car is like halfway down on the accelerator. It's just you're just fighting spin the whole time, and man, this thing has a gob of torque. At this time, we're going to try leaving in second gear and see if that helps anything. So 3.7, we went 4.0, 3.7, a little better. I was able to just kind of give it a little more throttle off the line, but you can feel just really when you get into second gear and you start really kind of trying to get into the pedal, you're just fighting spin the whole time, even with these massive drag radials on the back that are just trying to claw out the road. It's just so much power. So anyway, here we are, second gear this time. Let's see what how the car wants to leave. I'm going to have to give it a little more RPM in second. Let's see. 3.5. So actually second gear worked a little better. Believe it or not, that second gear launch actually felt pretty smooth, and I felt like I was able to modulate the throttle a little more effectively. I realize 3.5, it depends on who you ask. Is that fast? Is it not fast? I mean, for the street, on a dusty, unprepped surface, 3.5, 0 to 60 is still nothing to sneeze at. I feel like this car has more in it, but as I mentioned, it's so hard with a cold surface that's unprepped, and you really do have to just modulate, and just know exactly how much spin you can let that car have before the tires just go up in smoke. So there you go, a 4.0, then a 3.7, then a 3.5. So we're getting progressively better. I do feel like second gear is maybe the way to go here with this much power. It really just helps it be a little more controllable. I wouldn't say it's controllable by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm gonna give it one more shot here in second gear to see if I can better the 3.5. I mean, nothing shabby there. 3.5 on the street is still pretty darn legit on a really cold surface with a little dust on it, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm not doing a big, massive burnout. I'm not trying to make it sticky here. I've still got 30 pounds of pressure in the back, and still nothing wrong with that. And you can actually feel the car trying to transfer weight, but it's also trying to spin. So it's real hard for the car to transfer weight when the wheels are spinning. That's just the way it goes with a car with this much power. One more time, 0 to 60, we're gonna leave in second gear, give it a little bit of RPM. We're not going into torque reserve. Let's see how it goes. Oh, we spun. That was 3.9, I spun pretty bad. Well, the car spun off the hit on that one. I was trying to give it just a little bit extra, just that little bitty amount to get just a faster time. And unfortunately, that was too much. It spun off the hit. It took a minute for the tires to grab as I was modulating, and it just ran a slower time, a 3.9, which still isn't too shabby. And in my mind, I was kind of hoping if I can hit mid-threes on the street, unprepped surface, a little dusty as I mentioned, a cold tire, just cold surface. I mean, nothing really benefits the car in terms of going any faster. Mid 3.5s on the street isn't too bad. Now, I realize there's an argument. Oh, well, the Tesla Plaid will go, 2.0, 0 to 60 in the rain. No matter what, it's all-wheel drive, it's battery operated. The way the torque hits on that thing is completely different. I mean, it's like comparing apples to oranges. And yes, will a Scat Pack go out and something with way less horsepower be able to go out and match a time like that? Sure. I mean, it's actually easier with less power, as I mentioned before, to achieve a time like that. Yeah, you have to have a certain amount of power to get to that, say, 3.5 level. But really, on the street, it is just so incredibly hard to get any faster than that just because of physics. I mean, you only have so much grip with a tire under those conditions without a really sticky surface helping to propel the car forward. And as I mentioned, the car can't even really transfer the weight because the tires aren't grabbing the surface. So you're really fighting against that as well. I mean, I could sit there and repeat this all day. Yeah, maybe I could get another 10th out of it. But truth is, I'm actually not unhappy with a mid 3 second 0 to 60 time on the street out of this car. So not too shabby. Just so you guys know I'm not lying to you, I went ahead and pulled over just so I could try and do a trans brake hit, because it's always in the comments, inevitably, well, RacerX, you just need to learn how to use your trans brake. Guys, please, just give me a little bit of credit here. I promise. I will actually show you. I'm going to set the trans brake to the softest setting right now that I can set it to. And I will use the trans brake and try and launch it here on the street and show you what happens. Here is my trans brake setup. I'm gonna go ahead. You can see the blue line is actually available. That's the more aggressive one. There's B. Now C is all the way down there. So it actually has a lot more available, even as as low RPM as I said it. That's as low as it'll go, 1500. And you can see the red line is actually where it's set and the blue is available. So I literally cannot pull any more power out of this. Let's see how it goes. All right, let's see what it will do on the trans brake. It has to be in drag mode to use the trans brake, so you already know it's going to be more violent off the hit than it already is. As soft as I can set it, both paddles back, maintain and apply brake pressure, all the way full throttle, off one paddle, off the brake, let's launch. Oh, not even close. Now, there will also be people saying, RacerX, why don't you just use launch control? After all, a lot of us have launch control and it works great. Well, I can go ahead and turn launch control on, and I can actually use the auto transmission setting with launch control. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll turn on, I'll activate it. Now, this is in regular auto mode as opposed to drag mode, so you would think it would be a little bit softer. As a matter of fact, when we go to launch control, I can go ahead and pull the RPMs all the way down to, let's see, as far as it'll go, 1100. So we'll see how this goes. Here we go. So what did we find out today about getting the Demon 170 to go 0 to 60 on the street? Well, as you saw, my times got progressively better. Obviously, in first gear, I went like a 4.0, then we got a 3.7. Switching it over into second gear, it felt a little more controllable off the hit without giving it a lot of RPM, and it went a 3.5. Yes, I probably could have got a little faster if I would have taken some pressure out of the tires. I may have got a little faster if I could get actually a big old smoky burnout for 500 yards or whatever it is. I realized there's all these little tricks, guys. But that's not the spirit of the video, as I mentioned. It's just you pull up to a stoplight, somebody pulls up next to you. How fast can the car go? Well, if it was me, I would definitely put it over in second gear, give it just a little bit of RPM, and then just try and modulate that throttle and get it to go as quick as you can. But really, 3.5 is not a bad result in my mind for a car with this much power on the street, a cold street, unprepped. That's still pretty darn fast. And you can't really compare this to an EV, as I mentioned before. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm sure lots of people will be chiming in, telling me how they got their 6-cylinder SXT to go 3.1 or whatever else. Go ahead. I realize it. Anyway, I will catch you guys on the next one. So until then, RacerX.